right. Who said outstanding? One guy. That's it. That's all we got, Larry. Outstanding. We got one outstanding guy. Nobody else got anything to say. Well, we're excited to hold media day here today. Really, camp starts tomorrow. Even though we've been here since Sunday, working and organizing, but our kids are excited. The staff is excited. You know, we've been anxious all, really all summer. You start to look forward to this day, but really, it's good to have you guys here. I understand we haven't had it for a while, and it's one of the questions I had with EJ is, hey, what day is going to be media day? We've always had media day, so I think it's important for our kids to have media day. I think it's important for our coaches to get exposure because the type of coaches they are, type of people they are. So I asked our kids at a team meeting last night. Really, I didn't ask them, I guess. I told them we're going to have media day tomorrow. Didn't give them a choice. And I said, what do you guys think about that? They were all excited about media day. So I know they're as excited as I am, to get it going. What do you think about this room in here, huh? It's unbelievable, okay? It is unbelievable. Our kids are fired up. I mean, you guys can sit up there with your cameras. You guys look good up there, too. But it's been an amazing tool for us so far. I mean, we've been here 2.5 days, and we've spent hours in here, okay? In here coaching, teaching, teaching about character, having seminars on everything from, you name it, okay? So we've had a lot of sessions in here, team building sessions in here. We've probably sung the fight song in here about 10 times so far, and we got a bunch more to go. We got to practice everything. So we've been really coaching the details. Obviously want to thank, Scott Barnes for all his support. In the short time he's been here, we've gotten everything we've needed. He's been again, for him to be over here today, I know he's got 1,000 things to do. And same thing with the chancellor. He's been over here, sat in a two-hour meeting, which is unbelievable. So we thank them. Camp goals, first goal really as a football team, because it doesn't matter about talent. We talk a lot about chemistry. And, so the number one goal really coming to camp is to have our football team become a lot closer than they have been. And, how do we do that? It's those sessions we have in here. It's putting together in a dormitory, so they're staying in Sutherland Hall. I don't want you guys camped out of Sutherland, okay? Looking for bed check at 10:45. So they got an early bed check too. But it's putting them in Sutherland Hall together as a team, which is the way camp is supposed to be. So we've installed that. Coaches will be in there with them. So it's fun for me to go around bed check, at least just check in on some of the guys, see what's going on, talk football at 10:30 at night. And see what they think or what questions they have. It's just a different setting for our kids. So we're around them a lot more. And again, we better have that chemistry, okay? And, we talk a lot because we've been through the recruiting session, early when I got here about relationships. And we build relationships with recruits and their families. But, we talk about that's a lifelong relationship. So we start that lifelong relationship with our players right now. And, when you look at, the summer goes by, we're not around them. The NCAA doesn't let us get around them. So now is our time. That's why we're in the dorms. That's why I'm staying in the dorm with them, is to get around them more, see how they live, see what type of music they're listening to in the evenings, what are they eating, those types of things. So it's been great there. So they're staying there. So we're trying to obviously get in there and build that chemistry. Our kids, if they feel great with one another, they love each other, and have that relationship, and the coaches love the players love the coaches, we will win some football games, okay? So that's number one, is getting our chemistry going. Second thing we do is knowledge. And, every day I walk out of these meetings, and each one of our individual meeting rooms has changed as well. And, just like Coach Powell, he said, man, I love that telestrator. I mean, it's new for them. We've had coaches at Ohio State that haven't used telestrators. I'm like, what? You guys didn't have them there? How did we have them in places I've been? So the coaches are just starting to get a hang of the technology that we have, and that's the teaching part of it. I think it's going to be great for our kids, visual. Someday, maybe EJ, where's EJ at?
Right here, Coach.
Maybe we'll have a little conference after practice just to show them how it works. As long as you let me. We'll have a little session in there. We'll even throw some ball up there to show them how it works. We'll show them some good plays, bad plays, and draw it up to see if you can learn. I'll try to teach you guys a little bit. Maybe we'll plan that for next week sometime, okay? That'll be our post-practice in here. But just so you can see the tools that we have and our coaches have that I think, our kids are going to really enjoy. So we're putting the knowledge in our kids there. And again, why do we have to have that knowledge? Okay, and it's not just what our defense is doing or what our offense is doing, but it's what the opponent is doing. It's so they can play fast. Okay, they got to be able to play fast. They have to have that knowledge. They cannot be out there not knowing what they're doing, or they will look like that. Okay, and the third thing is we're out there to push them and get them to play with great effort. Okay, we talk about it all the time. You guys heard me say that probably 50 times. Is playing with effort. Okay, it is coached. It's not just saying, hey, we're going to play with effort. We're out on the field, and the coaches are sprinting around with our players, and it is coaching effort every play. And if we don't get effort, there's going to be something they got to pay. Okay, there'll be consequences there. So far, first two days of practice, been pretty happy with it. Our kids are running around out there in t-shirts and shorts. They do have a helmet on, but we're in what we call whiz tempo, which means you're just whizzing by the guy as fast as you can. Okay, on defense, offensively, they know they can catch the ball, turn and go. Tomorrow becomes a little bit more contact, although we're not tackling in full speed. Helmets and shoulder pads go on. I always say this: everybody's got a plan until they get hit. Offensively or defensively. And so tomorrow you find out who's got that plan and who doesn't have the plan. And there's probably some more separation. It's really hard to say, hey, who's your starting right tackle? Who's your starting safety until really the pads come on. So our kids have been in really it's a heavy install the first 2 days and see who can take the install, who can react. And we'll go with that. But as far as the meetings go, as far as our kids' shape, I think, knock on wood here, as far as camps I've been to, we're about as healthy and strong as I've seen. We watch it out there. Rob Blank said we didn't even need a trainer in for a meeting to go through an injury report because there are none. I've come out of summers with a list of 6, 7, 8, 9 guys, and we're very healthy right now. We need to stay healthy. Dave Andrews, our strength coach, has done an unbelievable job this summer. Just a few quick things, And again, it's cliche. We're bigger, faster, stronger. We truly are. Okay, we gained 362 pounds. Okay, he calls it of horsepower. Okay, but for you, I don't know if you guys, again, that's strength. 262 pounds combined. Okay, we got a lot more horsepower than we've had in the past. I'm watching our punter out there today in punt period, and I was out there last spring, and I'm watching him punt the ball, and we started off on the hash, and he's punting and he's hitting, the beams in the indoor. So I was like, move it inside. So we moved it into the NFL hashes, and he still hits it. And then we go team period. We got the ball flat in the middle of the field. He still hits the ceiling. So, I was like, I might have missed something, but did you hit the ceiling in the spring? He goes, no, coach. That's the horsepower we're talking about. And if you can see it in your punter's leg, I think you're going to see it in some other people. So we're excited about that. We lost 230 pounds, okay, of cargo or fat, I guess. So we've trimmed the fat and put muscle on our kids. And again, Dave Andrews has done a great job. When I first got here, I got this, from a basketball team somewhere, and I wanted to take a before and after picture of what our kids looked like. And someday I think we'll share it with you. It's really too early in the process to even share it with you. Plus, I don't want you guys posting and putting pictures on Twitter because I know how you guys are. And I really don't want these pictures, on the front page of the newspaper, but pictures of our guys before and after pictures, okay? And just, you talk about the cargo, and the horsepower that we've gained, but when you look at our players, they look a little bit different out there. And we've taken before afterwards and really put them up on the screen for our kids to look at, and they laugh at each other because some of them don't have the best looking bodies in the world. They're not as gifted as you guys are. And but you put them up there and you're seeing night and day. You're seeing, some major changes here. So, someday if EJ talks me into it, we can maybe release one of those, but we'll go from there. As I said yesterday after practice, we had great recall. Really good recall from what we saw, and our kids are giving better effort. We had much better effort from day 1 to day 2, which is what you expect. And not to say exactly what I said yesterday, but after you see day 1, you're a little bit disappointed in the effort because they don't know. That's the effort they gave you all summer when they're coaching. I called them out last night in meetings. I said, who's been coaching these guys for the last 11 weeks? And they looked around like nobody was. And I was like, no, you guys coached yourselves, and look what happened. And then, again, just one day sitting in a meeting with our coaches, and our guys have done a heck of a job. And then the last thing before I open it up for questions is, as a head football coach, and, you don't get these, you don't get them as a defense coordinator. Sometimes I'm busy scripting. I have meetings with our defensive coaches, but I get to go sit in offensive meetings now. I never got to do that before, but as I move around and sit in different meetings, I'm going to get around every position throughout camp. I'll go sit with the O-line, the quarterbacks, whatever it may be. And obviously on defensive meetings, I just get more and more impressed with the quality of football coaches we have here. Our staff is excellent and doing a great job of teaching, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with those guys. So with that, you guys have any questions, or we can just end this thing? What do you think?
A few of your guys yesterday said they think they can have or should have or will have the best offense in the ACC. Is that what you're encouraging them to think? Is that what you're expecting them to be this year?
Yeah, well, I didn't tell them that. So, I think as players, you set goals, and we haven't set. They're going to have their mission statement. We'll have a team mission statement, and offense, defense, special teams. But we don't, say that. But I think that's what they feel. I think that's a confidence. I think that's the attitude we talk about. First thing, it starts with attitude. What if you talk to them and they said, hey, we think we'll be okay, And as coach, I can say that. But I want those kids to feel confident. And if that's what they want to say or what they want to, feel, then I think more power to them. If you can't feel that or believe that, you got problems probably. So they feel they're going to be the best. They're going to put it on a piece of paper and tell me what they're going to do. And that'll be what our offense or defensive blueprint will be. So, hey, we want to win football games. We need to do it with offense, defense, and special teams. So I want those guys to have an attitude and feel that they're the best. And, hopefully they're feeling they're being coached the best. Hopefully they're feeling they're equipped with the best quarterback and receivers and right tackle, left tackle, offensive center, the whole deal.
You mentioned improving the team chemistry. Is that something that you sense was something that needed to be improved, or something players told you, could get better?
It's really the players told me, had meetings with every one of our football players, probably 30 to 40 minutes. I think they were scheduled for 15, so I had a backup, at the front door there. But I wasn't going to cut anybody short on what they had to say. But I really believe it was, a factor that they talked about where, hey, we got some good players here, Coach, but we don't know some guys. And it started with our weight room where Coach Andrews continually mixed them up in the weight room where they had to, work out with a different guy that they might normally work out with. The O-line guy always wants to, hang out with his O-line buddy that he plays next to. But how about the O-line was working out with the DB? I don't care if you have to switch the weights off the bench or the squat rack, but just working out with those guys and getting a chance to know that guy and how hard he works at his trade, just like how hard you work. And to me, we have to know one another. We can't, if we don't know each other, we can't play hard for each other.
Coach, what's your outlook on moving people around in different positions? If they're a D lineman, you need an O lineman. Did you do much of that in your career on defense?
Yeah, we sure have. I mean, our goal is to get our best 11 players on the field at one time. And, we're going to do whatever it has to be, whether it's moving an offense guy to defensive guy. It doesn't matter. We're going to, if Coach Chaney needs a guy and we're like, Coach, we're deficient here, we're going to try to fix that deficiency and best we can. And but I think those moves, those position moves, have got to be quick. I think you wait. It's got to be a red shirt. We've made 2 moves in the offseason I think are critical. Neal moving from tight end to tackle. And it was, you talk about selflessness, and we talk a lot about, not being a selfish. It's not about me. It's about this football team. And, I brought Brian in and said, hey, Brian, we got an issue. We got an injury. What do you think? And, we talked over the pluses and the minuses of it. And I said, hey, I'm not going to tell you got to move there. Well, we need you, but I want you to be the guy that says that. And, I've always believed if he says, hey, Coach, I want to move there, then, when he makes that move, he's going to put everything he's got into it. And I think he went from, I may be wrong, Chris LaSalle, I think he went from 260 to 285, okay, within 5 weeks. And I don't have the number sitting in front of me, but, if you looked at his picture side by side, it was like, whoa. I mean, you would think a guy went from 260 to 283, got sloppy and fat. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I thought Coach Andrews did some, what do they call that, photoshopping? I thought he photoshopped his body in there, but he looked unbelievable. But that's one move that we made it early, and then James Folston moved from probably a 3rd or 4th team middle linebacker to defensive end to give us more speed off the edge. So those are positions that we were able to move in the summer, get them coached up by the other players on the team during the summer, and hopefully they'll be a step ahead. But, you wait 5, 6, 7 days into camp, and all those heavy installs go in, and all of a sudden they come in there, you might as well start back and get ready for spring ball. So it's important that you make those moves early if you're going to make them, and if you make them later, it better be a position that you can do that with.
What have you seen from Artie in his recovery from the knee injury?
Whew. I'll tell you what, now you didn't know, you look at him and, he looks like he's 35 years old, right? He looks, Scott was talking about, he looked like an athletic director, like, he was going to be in his his office over there, but you know, not really. You know, with obviously spring ball, you know, he still was a little bit hurt, but he's back 100%. I can tell you that. And you watch him; he pulled around yesterday. I was like, holy cow! I mean, that guy can run. And you know, football players are football players, and we watched him move around in winter conditioning a little bit. You know, he wasn't full contact, but he could run around. And you know, some guys are drill guys, and they look good jumping and doing vertical jump, going over the bags, and then some guys don't. He was a guy that probably didn't look as fancy over there, or maybe he wasn't 100%, but he looks really good early, just pulling around. And again, obviously there's you know, no pads on yet, but he looks good. And you know, the one nice thing that Coach Peterson said to me, he said, hey, he's got a little nasty to him too. So he's you know, we got to have some guys that are nasty up front, and so he's got a little attitude to him, and that's what we need up front.
Would he limited at all when you put the pads on?
No, he's ready to go. He's ready to go.
Coach, I know it's early in the go right now, but what have your impressions been so far on James Conner, first seeing him as a coach, seeing him out there on the field play?
You know, James is a guy that, you know, you think, how can he change his body? You know, player of the year in the ACC. But again, he looks like a new and improved man out there right now, and he's got great hands. I mean, you know, he was a good player in the spring, and he's continued where he left off. And, you know, can't wait to watch him on game day. He's done a nice job.
Coach, coming from defensive coordinator to the man globally responsible for the entire team and everything that's going on, what kind of adjustments have you made as you make this transition?
You know, it's more meetings. It's dealing with you guys a little bit more, and you know, running a team meeting. That's about the difference. But doubles are a little bit different because there's more development that we need. It's not just, you know, spring ball. I mean, 15 days of spring ball is probably a little bit easier because it's spring ball. They're in classes right now, you know, at that point. But now with so much free time, there's meetings constantly. But really, the difference right now compared to what it was as a defensive coordinator is really just being on top of everybody, making sure we stay on schedule, and making sure things move smoothly and everybody has what they need.
You mentioned moving Folsom to defensive end. I mean, what do you think you guys have to do in general to get better at generating pressure off the edge? That's something that the team didn't really do that well most of the last year. Well,
the first thing is you got to get the right players on the field. You know, I think speed kills. You know, everybody always talks about, you know, the spread offenses and things that, you know, those offenses are doing to you. Well, there's spread defenses too, and I think our defense is built for that. If we get, you know, we talked about moving people around, but getting the right people on the field. We're trying to get speed on the field on defense, and defensive end has been a concern. And you know, I think our coaches were on the road when I made that move. You know, they were out there, and I was just looking at the depth chart, you know, lonely in my office because the head coach can't go out in May. And I said, we got to move that guy. You know, I'm just looking at, you know, where we have people, and again, he's athletic enough to play middle linebacker, but you know, mentally, can he pick everything he needs to be able to beat the guys that are in front of him right now? Probably not. He was too good of a player. He's explosive. He's powerful. And really, you look at him out there, and he's done a nice job, again, in shorts. So we'll see what happens when he get pads gone. But we're going to have to, you know, put speed on the edge. Speed kills, and we need guys that can run off the edge. And then, obviously, we got to be able to pressure the quarterback with some of our blitzes.
Is that what you're going to get from Grigsby and Bradley? I mean, his outside linebacker for speed?
No doubt about it. I mean, I think Freeze played, or Grigsby played defensive end last year on third down, so we definitely get more speed out of those guys, and Caprera as well. He's done a nice job at the outside linebacker spot, so you know, we'll get something out of those guys.
You talked about switching players from one side of the ball to the other. As far as having them play both sides of the ball during the course of the season, what's your opinion on that?
You know what? If they can do it, that's great. The first thing we want to do is make sure that they can be proficient at what their main job is. Okay, you know, you hate to take a guy. You know, let's just say a young. You know, compare a freshman to a senior. Okay, you know, but taking a young guy and trying to get him to play both early. I mean, if you sat in these meetings, your head would be spinning. Okay, everybody thinks it's kind of simple, but there's a lot of things that go into coaching a position on offense or defense. And again, just the details are so critical. So you can't be good if you don't pay attention to details and coach the little things. And if you have a guy part-time in a meeting and he's playing both sides, I don't think you can effectively get a guy to play at the highest level. We need guys to play at the highest level.
Coach, you used a great defensive officer from Michigan State. Last year, Pitt, I think you were 33rd nationally. Coming to this year, you're not the coordinator anymore, obviously, but in terms of looking at the defense and what you're dealing with this first year, what are your expectations, generally speaking? What would be a successful year if you guys do what on defense?
You know what? we try not to sit here and say, hey, this is what we want to be. And we have never done it in the past. You know, we want to be sound. We want to get better every day. Obviously, we want to win a championship. And you do that with championship defense and offense, and you got to be special in special teams. You know, defensively, we've never said, hey, we got to be this. You know, the one thing we got to be able to do is stop the run. So our defense will be built around stopping the run. And that's the one thing, if you said, hey, what's your goal on defense, it's stopping the run. And so we'll be built to do that. And the 11 players will be on the field will be able to do that, number one.
For you, being head coach now, you talk about how you deal with more people, more meetings, more groups. How's the relationship been with the D coordinator so far, having to relinquish some duties? How's that relationship been? It's been great.
It's been great. You know, again, I hired great people, you know, Josh Conklin is a guy that you know I had some knowledge of, didn't know him, and you know real well, but you know interviewed him and knew Rob Harley real well, known you know Ronaldo Hill, knew of Tom Sims, but we've got a great relationship so far, and that'll continue. I have no question about how you know relationship will be. He's a great defensive coordinator. He does a lot of things better than I did it. And you know, and everybody got strengths and weaknesses. And my job as head football coach, not only offensively or defensively, really to coach the coaches and get what we want and get the little things right and pay attention to details. You know, I don't get to coach them in those rooms, but really my job is to coach the coaches and just evaluate them. Hey, Josh, what do you think about this? Or you know, and he's great. You know, he's smart enough to understand. You know, whatever it takes to get better. But you know, there's different ways to do things, and you know. Just for example, this morning in his meeting, I was like, man, that was much better than what I used to do. The way it was structured on a piece of paper, PowerPoint, just showing our kids period by period what they did well and what they didn't do well. And I used to put it on one sheet, but he went from period to period. It was a great visual for our kids, and you know, I just walked up afterwards. So I mean, there's going to be great interaction and great communication, you know, in every aspect, and it has to be.
With the emphasis on stopping the run, does that put a lot of pressure on your corners to play one-on-one?
It does, but we have ways of giving them relief. But, you know, it does. I mean, we're trying to make everything look the same. But, you know, there's pressure on our corners without a doubt. And but I think our corners are good enough to take that pressure. And, you know, I think we got some guys that can do stuff. But it's our job also to change it up and make sure if you're the quarterback that you don't know they're on that island out there. But, you know, when you look at it from the press box, or are you on the field? You're up. Okay, so when you look at it from the press box, you know, you're going to look and say, man, it looks like those guys are, you know, on one of those islands out in Hawaii, okay? What's your favorite island out there?
Never been there.
Never been there? The Big Island? But no, it's a little island out there. It's smaller than that, but you know, it'll look like that, but then we'll have ways of changing it up and giving those guys help.
When you look at the receiver spot, obviously, you've got Tyler #1, but then after that, you know, there's a lot of improvement guys. Do you have a goal in mind for how much you'd like to split up and take some of that load off Tyler? That's not, because he had a huge majority of the team's catches last year.
Right. No doubt about it. I mean, people will be worried about Tyler Boyd on one side, and you know, and we've got to find 3 or 4 more guys. I mean, the question is getting 3 or 4 more playmakers on the field, and you know, and that's obviously a goal, you know, for our offense staff to find out who those guys are, who are we going to feature out there, and who, you know, who can do something else on the other side. And you know, I think we found one guy in Dontez Ford, you know, through the spring, and we're going to find out, you know, how he's progressed through the summer and what he does through this 2015 fall camp. But there's some more guys that, you know, are going to get better.
Do you anticipate Tyler Boyd to be an integral part in the return game as well this year?
No question about it. I mean, he did it last year, and he did a great job. You know, I sat there and watched him return punts, you know, last spring and this fall so far, and you know, I don't think he's ever dropped one.
Do you think Jordan's going to return?
You know what? I'm not sure if he was even back there. I did not see him back for punt returns. He may have been back at kickoff returns. But again, it's another one of those where, you know, with those freshmen, you know, we're pretty much, I guess you guys don't know this, you know, we go 1s, 2s. Okay, let me start off with this. We'll go back. In the spring ball, we're getting 1s, 2s, 3s, and we're really finding out what everybody has. You know, you probably got 85, 90 guys out there. And all our kids on the football team knew that when we get to fall camp, it's going to be 1s, 2s, and freshmen. The freshmen are running with the 3s. And that's been our philosophy because we got to find out what those guys have. So the first thing is, you know, I don't want, you know, Jordan or Trey Tipton sitting out there catching punts and taking those reps until we find out they're going to be on the field on offense or defense. And again, that goes for Jay Stock or any of the other skill guys, you know, Dane Jackson and more and more. So, So first of all, let's find out they're going to be on the field. So we're working them in individual drills, trying to get them those things. They're not necessarily catching a ton of punts right now, but there was a freshman back there. I'm trying to figure who it was. Might have been Raphael out there, but I did see one rookie out there catching punts, but I'm not sure if it was Whitehead. So, that's something we got to find out if they're going to be on the field first. Really don't want to burn a red shirt or burn a freshman, his season just to play special teams or return a punt.
What is that timeline like? When do you expect to sort of have a decision for when guys are going to play if they're in a red shirt?
Well, that's what we go ones, twos, and freshmen. But obviously the earlier better. But you really haven't had that conversation with our kids yet, and it usually comes after that first scrimmage because there'll be some heads down because they didn't get as many reps or play as good as they wanted to. Really, we don't sit there and say, after day 12 of camp, hey, you're going to redshirt, because you never know. You don't ever know about, what the injury position at that position is going to be, how healthy are you. So that's a mid-season thing as far as redshirting go. Unless we know, there's some guys maybe we know for sure, but there'll be, I'm sure, a handful of freshmen that will be, in game plan meetings for that opener that can possibly help us as we move into the season.
Any other questions for Coach?
Yeah, I do. Coach, going back to offense, we're going to see deep ball more often. If you look at the...
we were going to throw all the balls just real short, just so we can... No. Yeah, we're going to throw some deep balls.
Because I went back and charted them, and almost all our plays over 40 yards have like 35 yards after the catch. We didn't have any real fly patterns or something like that.
Yeah, well, we talk about... we talk about making big plays, explosive gains on offense, and eliminating them on defense. Okay, and that's one of the keys to the game of football. And there's nothing worse than giving up a big play on defense, and it hurts you. So we got to have to open up our run game. We're going to have to throw the ball deep. And Coach Cheney likes to throw it there. We've thrown some deep shots already, and really, Chad does a great job. Nathan does a good. Really, all of our quarterbacks shoot. Ben DiNucci had a nice deep ball the other day. He put right on the money to one of those puppy receivers. So, we're definitely going to throw the ball deep. And our defensive backs are getting shots. They're out on that island as we talked about. So, Coach Cheney's done a great job at challenging, Coach Conklin, Coach Hill's corners with those deep balls because you got to make a play. Someone's got to catch that ball, one or the other.
Good.
Okay.
You got one more?
A lot about special teams. I was wondering if you could maybe talk a little bit more about your kicker punter situation specifically, and if you might be able to give a few thoughts on Chad quarterback.
So you want special teams and Chad at quarterback? Okay, well, I'll start with Chad at quarterback. Chad's done a nice job. He's a leader out there. I think our kids trust in him. As a football coach, whether you're the quarterback coach or the head coach, you want competition in that position. So we're going to press the competition there and try to make him better. And, just in the little bit I've seen so far, you talk about it, a competitive guy. He's a competitive guy, and I think he's gotten better since last spring, just watching him out there. I think he's getting more familiar with the terminology, which is all new. He's got to spit that out and get everybody lined up every snap. So he's done a nice job. Kicking-wise, Chris Blewett, I know Coach Powell, our special teams corner, has been happy with him. I don't think he missed a field goal or extra point today. We had we've had 3 periods of field goal and extra point periods, and Chris has done a great job for us. I don't ever want to leave our long snapper out. David Murphy's done a great job snapping the ball because punters, everybody talks about a punter. Well, he didn't punt it very well, but we talk about it. Right-footed punter, left-footed punter, put that snap right on the thigh boy. So there's the attention to detail. When a punter's got to catch the ball here or there or up here, it takes a long time to get it off, and it's like playing golf. If you tee it up a little higher or a little lower, you're going to have problems, and we want that snap right where we want it. But, David's done a great job, and then Ryan Winslow has been phenomenal, as I've already mentioned, what power I think he's got in that leg right now, and, it's our job as coaches to make sure they keep that power and we don't outkick them. So, that answer your question?
Could you talk about your backup kicker, Joel Reigler?
Joel is not right here right now. He's not here right now, okay? And I'm gonna go back here. I got to refer to my notes here. Our kicker, we had a transfer kicker from Columbus, Ohio, that we recruited out of high school. And EJ, you gonna help me out here? Schuster. He's a kid that came in the spring. Coach Powell had knowledge of him. He has taken Joel's spot on that depth chart right there, and is in our. We bring 105 players in. I guess they probably don't have a roster of the 105. But we got 105 players in camp, and Joel is not in camp, but he's waiting right there and did a nice job for us in the spring. And but we like I said, we saw those guys in the spring. We saw what they can do, and we could bring him in at any time. But Schuster's done a nice job so far, and again, we'll find out what happens. When the pad's going. I know he had one blocked in a 2-minute situation today, so we'll see. Was that the kick, or was that something that our defensive line did, because it was up through an A gap, with no pads, so we're out there in shorts, so it's hard for an offensive lineman to block one of those knucklehead defensive tackles running through an A gap.
Just one real quick. Patrick Amara, is he cleared and ready to go?
He's cleared and ready to go. Kind of mentioned yesterday about, he had a little doctor's appointment he had to go to, and, it was a personal medical issue that he had to take care of, and we were worried about him for a little bit, but he's A-OK and ready to go. So he had a big old smile on his face today.
That could be an interesting battle with safety.
I think it's going to be real interesting. I think it's going to be interesting. Without a doubt. We got to. I think Reggie's done a nice job to the field. We got to find that solid starter into the boundary. So it'll be a battle. And there's a bunch of battles.